Women educators are natural givers, pouring into their students, their families, and communities. But what about pouring into you? This is the Educator Sanctuary, where we help you ditch the guilt and unapologetically put yourself at the top of your list. I'm Dr. Leah, educator, mindset coach, and your guide to creating a life where you align with your purpose and reclaim your power. So if you're ready to set boundaries and step fully into the woman you're meant to be, you're definitely in the right place. Let's get into it. Hey, and welcome back to the Educator Sanctuary, where we have big conversations, mindset shifts, personal growth, and all the things that help us live more intentionally. So whether you're a mom, a teacher, community leader, or if you're a woman holding space for others, this show is for you, especially today's show. I have a special treat and I'm so excited because I actually have my first ever guest episode. And honestly, I could not have asked for a better person to join me. So in this space where you guys know we're talking about mindset, emotions, behavior, purpose, and presence, today's conversation with our guest is actually going to touch on all of that and more. So we actually live in a world right now that I feel like is just so loud, is so unpredictable. At times, it's even overwhelming, whether, it's on social media or home or work. It's like, how do we stay grounded? How do we find calm? How do we get triggered and then not respond to our triggers? Because if we're in this area of personal growth, I feel like that is so important. So how do we get triggered and then continue to live outside of that, or worse, when we are actually in it because of our responsibilities, whether it's at work or school, or raising our kids at home, or leading young people, dealing with outsiders? How do we do that? So today's episode is definitely for you. We're going to be getting so real and raw and relatable about what it takes to cultivate calm in the middle of daily storms. And what does it mean to actually protect your peace in the process? So today I am literally honored, grateful. You guys just cannot even imagine. You're going to understand why when I introduce our guest. But her name is Nadine Paul, and Nadine is early childhood educator with a background in psychology, specializing in child development and child protection. So for nearly a decade, she has been living and working here in the U.S., serving as a cottage parent in a group home setting. So she provides daily care and emotional support to foster children and teens who navigate daily behavioral, big emotions, right? Challenges, and both at home and school. And she's helping not only to help regulate their calm, but keep hers as well. So her work is so real, raw, and relatable that I wanted us to hear from her today, because she's so deeply compassionate in what she does and how she responds. Literally, every time I've ever seen her or spoken to her, it's almost like she doesn't even have problems, because she's always just so happy and grateful and just finding that silver lining in pretty much everything. So I'm so honored to have her here to share her story and her calm in the chaos strategies, because Lord knows I need them. So welcome, Nadine. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm about to be emotional because the way you introduced me, I'm like, I am honored. What are you talking about? I am honored to be your first guest, and I hope I will, stay in the standard because, or raise the standard, because I don't want the way I present myself or whatever I'm doing to give people ideas, because what you are listening over here, it's good stuff, I love listening to your podcast, and I really, really appreciate working. Even knowing you is such a blessing for me. Thank you for giving me space to always be there for the kids, and I really enjoy my time. It's not like when I'm going to be with you, I'm just like I'm stressing. No, I'm not. It's a blessing for me. So thank you for having me.
All right. So Nadine, can you tell us a little bit about you? I know I introduced you, but just tell us a little bit about the work that you do and the girls that you care for.
Already, as you said at the beginning, I've been working with at-risk youth for about 6 years now. But before that, I work in the foster care system for about 18 months before I do this job. But before that, I used to be a teacher back in early childhood. As you introduced me, I had a background in being early childhood children. So that was my first background. Then I went to school for psychology, and then that's when I started working with children that were in our what we call a foster system in Haiti, but it's different from here because it's not the government is not really involved in it, so it's more than like ONGs, organizations working. So I've been working as a case manager in Haiti for 9 years before I moved here. So it's a little bit chaotic. They were explaining, but my background is literally working with children, and the difference in the culture here in Haiti and the way we do things here and the way we did it in Haiti, it called me into learning and learning every day, and also applying calm every day in what I do, because I cannot just use my cultural background to just say, well, this is how we're gonna handle that. I need to make sure that I understand that, well, we're working with kids with trauma, background with trauma, and I need to approach that in order way to understand the kids first before I act, and it's not always easy. So yay.
Yeah. So, what led you to this work? Like, was there a moment that said, I want to be able to work with kids like this? Or is it like God led you here by what you think was an accident, but now it's a blessing? Like, do you feel like this is where you're supposed to be? How did you get here?
Well, I feel like it's God, and also step by step I feel like I am getting into my purpose, as your last podcast. If you haven't listened to the last podcast, go ahead, you need to listen to that. It's about purpose. And I was listening to it and I'm like, man, this lady is like, she lives in my house, she listened to me. So last week I was reading, doing my devotion, and one of the things that one of the verse that I read, it's about being alert and trying to stay away from distraction. And then after that, I was sharing that with my girls. And then I heard your podcast. I think I was listening to it yesterday when you were talking about distraction. How distraction is taking us from our dream, and not our dream, our and then
Purpose.
something
Yeah.
I wrote down was distraction is the killer of dream. So many things can get us distracted from what God is calling us. So listen, I've tried to do so many other stuff, but God is like, this is where I put you. So what led me to it, I can say it's God. And also my experience as a child was not the best, so I try as much as I can to be the better person that I can to a teenager when they are in my life, or a kid, even my child. So many times I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I can be a good parent today, but I try my best. Try my best. Trust me, all of us has that feeling. We all have that feeling where we feel like we are failing our children, but uh when you ask the question, that's when you know that you are trying your best. Because if you don't ask yourself question, you don't usually try to kill your ego. You go by your ego and you don't ask
Yeah.
your question. You don't try to be better as a person or as a parent.
No, thank you for sharing that. Now, I do have a follow-up question because you mentioned something, and if I'm triggering anything, just let me know. But you mentioned, you said my childhood wasn't that great, and I just try to be different. What particularly are some things that you like I have to change? Are they generational curses that you're just trying to break, or were they things just personal, that just maybe happened to you that you just don't want to share with any other children in your presence?
Well, one of the thing is like violence was something that I grew up with. On Friday, as an example of like my daughter and I, she is homeschooled. So I am the mom and the teacher. And usually, you don't want to be the mom and the teacher. So we were talking, but we were fighting about something, like she did not do something well, and then we called her out. She did not appreciate that, and we had a really hard morning and that day. So when I was listening to her perspective from that, and I was like, wow, I am so impressed and I'm so proud of myself, because the way she was expressing herself, she was frustrated, and she was telling me, but mom, sometimes you talk to me like that too, and I don't like it. I'm like, you can tell me when I talk to you like that, you don't like it. It's okay. And it gives me a flashback as a kid when I was growing up. as you mentioned, all the generational curse, your parent would not take any even answer. They don't want you to answer them. They don't want you to give an opinion. What they say is what they say. So I had to learn
Yeah.
that, well, I need to give my child an opinion. Otherwise, she's not gonna be able to express herself when she goes somewhere, stand up for herself when she goes somewhere. And it's the same thing with the girls that I work with. I work with young teenage girls, and I need to, I have to give them space usually to tell me what is going on. What do you need from me? When I was growing up, nobody asked me, what do you need from me? What can I help you with to help you
Yes.
succeed in whatever you are struggling with? Whether it is emotional, physical, or whatever it is that is going on in your mind, nobody will ask me that. Just, listen to what I say, do what I say, and that's it. Sometimes, as parents, we don't have to parent. We have to just say, okay, now I don't have an explanation for you. You kind go with what I tell you to do, but you have to always keep a space for your kid to come, or whoever you're serving as a child to come to you and say, well, I have a space that I can tell and express myself and tell you the way I am feeling right now. This is what I need from you to succeed. So yeah, when I was
Yeah.
growing up, that was not part of it. We did not have that on the table. Do what I
I,
said
I
and
grew
move
up.
on.
I grew up the same. I grew up the same. It's like, and the thing about that, at least for me, is that not being able to express, opinion has created an adult that where if I had needs, I was afraid to express those needs because
Hmm.
it's like I'm at work and I need something, but I don't want to get in trouble by my boss or something like that. And so that took a lot of healing on my part to recognize that expressing something that I needed wasn't a bad thing. Like it was how I was raised, but it's not normal to not be able to say what you need. So I love that you are allowing your daughter and those other teenagers to be able to express themselves because they'll grow up to be hopefully adults who know how to keep
Hmm.
calm while they're expressing what they need in the future.
Yeah.
So given that, I know we're talking about like chaos and how we create calm in that chaos. So, what does chaos look like in your world on a regular day? Hey, Educator Sanctuary listeners. Are you a homeschooling mom or thinking about it, but feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or maybe unsure how to confidently guide your child's learning journey? Maybe you're craving time for self care, rest, or just a break, but you feel like you're doing it all on your own without anyone to turn to for help. Let me introduce you to Purpose Prep Academy, an online and in person STEAM micro school for learners in grades K 8. Purpose Prep Academy isn't just any school, it's a space where young minds are nurtured, empowered, and taught to lead with confidence, curiosity, and purpose. Purpose Prep Academy focuses on providing students with the academic tools they need while fostering personal growth to help them thrive both inside and outside the classroom. At Purpose Prep Academy, they offer personalized learning, foster critical thinking, and provide real world applications to help students become 21st century leaders and change makers. If you're looking for a program that can help you reclaim your time, give you peace of mind, or simply give your child a space to thrive, Purpose Prep Academy could be exactly what you've been looking for. Want to learn more? Visit purposeprepacademy.org to schedule a virtual meeting or an experience day and find out if Purpose Prep Academy is the right fit for your family.
Well, I think chaos is like regular for me because like having five teenagers plus my daughter was like a preteen. I think the hormonal change is there. I can feel it coming. I'm scared. So it's like different emotions and different background. And basically the more challenging for me at the beginning was getting my cultural background, to put that aside, and then bring in a more scientific understanding of trauma response of or trauma, and then knowing that these kids are not here because they are chaotic, because they made like bad choices only, but there are other stuff that led to all these bad choices. Even though I am in a moment where I am overstimulated and I cannot really respond or give to a kid what they need, I need to always say, well, tell myself that, well, right now is not a time to give a response. Sometimes I will be honest with them and tell them, right now is not a good time for me to interact with you, and I am gonna not like give energy to that because I don't want to be rude. So chaos is an everyday thing for me because I am dealing, as I said, with different backgrounds and kids who have been like heavily like through the foster care system, who has been adopted, or other type of trauma. Even parents, they inflicted trauma to their children without knowing, because that's the way they were raised, and then they are bringing this into their own life. And parents divorce, or like divorce. We have kids that are here because their parents are divorced, and they are like, they feel like they are responsible, and they'll start acting up. So it's a lot going on with these children that we have to navigate. I have to help them navigate every day. We also have like schedule that we need to follow every day at the place where I work. Schedule, school, different type of behavior, culture, all of this in like one part together, and then plus hormones. It's a lot. So it's important for me to also always tell myself, like, you don't have to give energy, participate in everything, and then listen to when is the right time to interact, and also give space to yourself and to that kid to feel like they are heard, they are loved, and they can go whatever they are feeling right now, they can go through this.
So, have you ever had one of those days though where you're just like, I am about to just lose it? And if you have, then what helped you come back to center?
Well, I think one of the things that's very good about this work is I do it with my husband, which is doing it as as partners help you. Usually, you sometimes you feel like, well, I need a little bit of time right now. I'm just gonna take myself out of the situation, and sometimes too, him too. Sometimes he might need a break from this situation. We will walk away and then come back and then try to navigate it in a better way, in a healthier way. So we try to compensate to each other, and I do other stuff for myself that helps me. One of the things, like, I do my own self-care. I go for to do my nails. I don't negotiate that. That's my spa day. I do that very often. And then if I need like a walk, usually I go on a walk at night, and I will also go for my gym time. I love going to the gym, so exercising. So many things to help me stay on a mental place that will help me to serve others better.
So, can you give an example without giving too much detail, obviously, but can you give an example of like a really bad day? Like, this is a bad day,
Yeah.
but I have to just keep my cool.
Give it to God. That's one thing that happened very recently. I had one of my girls that we were having a kind of a chaotic bedtime, and one of them decided she was gonna run away. And
Oh no.
I don't know if one of you know, some of people knows that Orlando is really known as a trafficking place. So we don't have what it called a gate here. So it's when if a kid run
Mm.
away, they will end up in the street. So in my mind, because she's very young, she's about my daughter's age, I'm thinking, It's 9 o'clock, 9:30, and this kid is out there. Anybody can just grab that child and put that child in that car and just like, I'm saying that like I'm laughing, but it was such an emotional moment, but I had to keep calm, because if I don't keep calm, then the other girls, they will feel that I am anxious, and they will become anxious too. So I had to, cultivate that time, that inside of me, and say, well, it's okay. I can pray about it, because there's nothing I can do about it. All I can do is like let my supervisor know my husband was out there looking for her. We called the police. They were looking for her. But also, I was praying inside of me to keep the calm, you know, because otherwise we will be all in the street without of the trying to look for that kid, and then also build fear in the other kids. So it took me a long time to learn this, to learn that, well, this is chaotic, but the other kids that are here, they need me to be um, in my calmness self, so they can regulate themselves and have a better night, because they've been through a lot of trauma. So I don't want to be the person
Yeah.
that bring more or create more in that situation. It was very scary. Trust me, that was very scary. I was like, God, I can't I can't do one more of this. I cannot do one more of this.
Oh my
But
gosh, that
yeah.
sounds so scary to me. And I don't know, just knowing the kind of person that I am, I'm like, God gave you a gift because I feel like when the child came back, I'm like, do I yell at this kid for like scaring me, and raising my blood pressure, but you're saying like, oh, I have to be calm. And I'm thinking, I'm like, I probably would like be yelling at the kid. Like, what were you thinking? Why were you out there?
I
So
know.
you absolutely have a gift. And so I really would love to talk about that. Like, what are some things that you would recommend for parents, or people like myself who would probably just be so ramped up with anxiety that my first instinct would probably be to yell at the child to say, what were you thinking? Why did you do this? Like, what would be a strategy that I should use to remain calm so that I can provide that same level of love and care for the child like you did?
Well, that's a very hot spot. Because at that night, let me tell you, when my husband came and then they found the child, he texted me and he said, we found the child. I'm like, thank you, Lord. And then her parents came, and then they resolved. She was like, I was so scared, because I thought I was gonna get in trouble with Aunt Nadine. So that's why, and I know if I got in trouble with her, my parents are gonna be mad at me. I'm gonna be in more trouble at home. And I'm like, why is that? Why was that the first decision to take? But I understand that she was having a panic attack at that moment, and then and her brain was in flight mode. She ran. So when she came back, and my husband told me she came back, I'm like, just tell her to go to bed, because I did not want to come, as I said earlier, I did not want to come and show something that is not appropriate in that moment, because as you said, I could have
Mm-hmm.
come out and like, what went in your mind? Somebody could have kidnapped you, because that was what I had in my mind right at that moment. I could have gone and did that, but I was like, well, I gotta stay in peace and stay in my bed right now, because I cannot handle to be as calm as possible and go talk to that child. But I was like, okay, I let it go, and I went to bed. And the next morning, we talk about, how dangerous that was to not do that anymore. We can talk, and then have her list some strategies for next time she's feeling like she's in a flight mode, that she can, think about this stuff that she can do to regulate herself instead of running away. So yeah, I don't even remember what was your question, but I feel like I say a lot of stuff that was very important.
No, it's totally fine. So, what I do believe I hear you saying is that when there is chaos, you don't always respond right away. You take some
Yes.
time to
Hmm.
think about
Yeah.
how you're going to respond because you assess the situation and then decide what's going
Hmm.
to be best. That's actually good. I
Yeah.
do think that there's something that says be slow to speak or something like that, but I don't
Yeah, the
remember.
Bible. Yes, there's
Uh,
Bible verse about that. Yeah, be slow to speak. So that, yeah, that's exactly one thing that I try to cultivate in the past years, to just not say anything, because once you are easy to speak, you don't have any control of what you are going to say. And even with my daughter, sometimes I'll be like, wait, now is not the right moment for me to address that. Mommy is not feeling in the right place. I'm just going to walk away. But trust me, as human, it's not always possible. Someday you're gonna lose it. You're gonna yell. I do it sometimes because, listen, I'm not gonna hide and say I'm always a perfect person, perfect mom all the time. My daughter will say like she's the worst mother ever. That's what I think she's gonna say. But
I'm pretty sure she doesn't think
that's what
that.
they think about us. But I know that I'm trying my best. And as I said at the beginning, if you are not questioning yourself, if you are not feeling that you are not doing good, and then to reflect and ask yourself questions and learn something new every day to be a better parent, then that's when you are failing. But if you are questioning yourself and asking yourself, what can I do to be a better parent, then you are not failing your kid. You can calm down. I've had generation of them around here. And even though they spent 1 year, 2 years, they will always come back, hang out here, call me on through the phone and tell me, well, you did a good job with me. I remember when one of my girls sent me a letter, and she told me that you helped me grow a backbone. I was like, what does that even mean? Because, English is not my first language. So I had to learn a lot of stuff. So when she said, learn how to grow a backbone, I did not know what that means. I had to go and search for that. And I'm like,
Did you think
oh,
she was
okay.
growing a bone out of her literal back?
She said, you helped me learn how to stand up for myself. And I didn't know that was even a thing. When she said that, I'm like, oh, that is so sweet. I did not even understand what she asked. She said, but when she came, she struggled a lot with her personality. She struggled a lot, like, with
Mm,
following other people. And then she had to learn how to be that person. So even though I know I was hard on her, at the beginning, she learned something and she's grateful for it. So, as I was saying,
yeah.
you are not failing your kids if you are asking yourself question every day. If you are feeling that you are failing them, you are not failing them.
Yes. So, one thing that we do talk about on this show is putting yourself at the top of your list. And so, I imagine if you're taking care of this many girls on a daily basis, you're dealing with so many energies coming into you. How do you preserve your own energy so that you can continue to have more to pour?
Yeah, that's one thing personally I struggle with, and I think like as women we struggle with that. And last night I think I was reflecting on something that happened when I was very young. I was like a teenager, and then one thing that I don't know, it's like if it's in your culture, but in my culture, when you are like 16, 17, everything you do that is wrong, your parents will tell you like, how are you gonna have a husband if you are acting like that? So they are not preparing you to be a human being by yourself, to be a person that is fulfilled.
Mm,
They are preparing you to be a wife. And then that's when you grow up, you don't, like, after you being a wife, you being a mom, you forget yourself. You really forget, like, to take care of yourself. And many times it happens to me. I'll be like making uh, um food for everybody, and then I forget myself. And it's important, it's
mm,
very, very important to put that time aside for you, whether it is for you to go, have a spa day, whether it is for you to go, just go for tea by yourself. This is your moment that you set aside for yourself to do something. In the morning, one of the things that I do with my girls, I'm like, in the morning, once I wake you up, basically I'm not a morning person, but I just don't
Neither am I.
want to interact in the morning. I'm like, in the morning I want you all to work on, like, stay quiet. I don't want to communicate unless we have an emergency. So in the morning when I wake up, after I do all my stuff, getting ready, do my devotion, and then I want to start the morning as calm as possible. I don't want to start it like answering several questions. So that's when I put myself first. When I am there, I am not answering questions, I'm not thinking too much. So I put myself in a position where I am waking up calm. Setting up the day as calm as possible, so when I am ready to interact after breakfast, or while we're doing chores, I am in a better mood for everybody can get the best of me. So as moms, we always forget that, well, yes, we are wise, we are moms, we are caregivers or teachers, but we need to be 100% ourselves if we want to pour into other people. And usually you feel guilty because okay, what if I take care of myself and then I don't have enough money to take care of my kids? It's gonna be okay. You are going to be okay. I've struggled with that all my life. Is it gonna be okay? Is everybody gonna be okay? Yes, they are going to be okay. The world is not gonna stop just because you take 1 hour for yourself. You take 2 hours for yourself. The world is not gonna stop. The world is not gonna stop if you just if you pay that gym membership. It's not gonna stop. Trust me. The world is
Yeah.
not going to stop if you set up a 30 minutes timer for yourself to take care of your skin, if that's what you like. The world is not going to stop if you put it on a budget like $50 every month for you to do something for yourself. It's not going to stop. And that's when you fulfill this little thing for yourself, that's when you are so ready. And because your needs are met, you are ready to meet other people's need. You are ready to pour into their cups.
I love that. And I was actually just listening to a girl on TikTok yesterday, and she just had a baby. And so she was saying how she feels very much guilty just to leave her husband with, two kids, to just even go to the store for an hour. She feels bad. And that said, she is having to relearn how to put herself first and not feel guilty. And I don't know, I just think that's kind of just like a learned behavior that we have
Mm-hmm.
learned that as women, some way, somehow, that we become the caregivers. And because we're caring for other people, it means that we
Mm-hmm.
have to be this selfless person. But
Mm-hmm.
I think in my adult age that it is so backwards to think that I'm supposed to continue to give when I am exhausted, when I am
Mm-hmm.
mentally drained, when I physically don't feel like I can go anymore. But it's like I have to be this superwoman hero type of person. And I'm like, no, this is not right, because
Mm-hmm.
now I'm going to go through my life knowing that I regretted a lot of things. And I just don't feel like as women we should have these regrets, that we need to learn how to create a balance, which is how we got here on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone is out there right now, and because I know that some mom is out there, or teacher or community leader, they're out there and they're listening to this episode right now, whether they're maybe in their car taking a break from work, or escaping the day and trying to listen to this in the bathroom or wherever they
Mm-hmm.
are. But if they are feeling in the thick of chaos right now, whether their children just frustrated them today, or something like that, what's one small thing that they can try today to just feel more grounded and more calm?
As you were talking earlier about we were talking about like taking a little bit of time for yourself. And life, we need to remember, life is about ups and downs, ups and downs. You cannot go in life like straight, everything will be like that all the time. Sometimes you gotta just be like, okay, I'm not listening to anybody crying right now, let me just breathe, you know? Let me just breathe. And then I can enter back into this 100%. Because if I come out
Yeah.
the way everybody's screaming and I feel overwhelmed myself, I will just add into the chaos. So
Right.
I said
Yeah.
it earlier, you don't always have to participate. You're not gonna let your house in fire, but you don't always have to give energy. And
Y-
I need to share that as a immigrant person that moved here in America. I know a lot of people that will listen to that podcast. They might not be immigrant. They don't know what that means for you to leave your country and leave like family back home and then come here. When you move in America, a lot of people back home are expecting you to do stuff for them. And when I first came here, I only have one brother. I feel like I gave into that for a long time, where I feel like I need to be the superhero in everything that he's struggling with. He's struggling with his kid behavior. I am there. He's struggling with financial problem. I am there. I am there. And it's so exhausted because I always want to be everything for everybody. You cannot be everything for
Mm-hmm.
everybody because you don't give other people time to learn, to also experience themselves, know what they are capable of. Even your own kids. I experience that with my children too. Sometimes you will find that some kids come here with no knowledge of nothing. Why? Because at home they are babied so much. It's not like you don't do stuff for your kids. Yes, you can do stuff for your kids, but you gradually need to teach them how to be independent from you. And when they are like 13, 14, and then they are used to you doing things for them, they will expect other people to do the same. And that's not what you want for your children. You don't want to be there for them all the time, for them every single time. Things they need, you don't want to be there for them. You want them to be independent.
Yes.
There is a place to start with that. There's a space to start. There's a time to start. And it's every you give them like it's age appropriate. You give them like a little task, and sometimes the little task is like, right now you need to regulate yourself because mommy cannot be there to regulate you. You're gonna have to regulate yourself in this
Mm-hmm.
situation. Okay? So as I was saying, like, I used to be like, well, I am gonna be Jesus in my brother's life all the time. And that makes him like rely on me for so many things. And I realized like I cannot do that. Because when I need things, I pray for things I need. I work for things I need. He's a really hard worker. So I don't want him calling me at 2 a.m. in the morning. My child is in the hospital. Yes, your child is in the hospital, or your child is having a fever. Now you can take care of your child. You don't have to call me at 2 a.m. because I'm in the US. There's nothing I can do for you right now. I cannot
Right.
fly right now to go to the hospital and support you and your wife. All you can do is wait for me in the morning and let me know if there is any support that you need. I that I can provide, I will provide it. But giving you the energy or the space, not setting boundaries for you to always come to me or call me for everything, is not healthy for you as a mother, as an educator, or as a caregiver. It's not healthy for you to always give and give and give and give and let people rely on you too much. Then it becomes too heavy. You don't give them boundaries, and then it's too much. Then when you finally say no, you are gonna be rude. They are gonna perceive it rude, and sometimes when you are overwhelmed, you're gonna be rude to them too. So it's important to know that this time and space, I am not going to bring that energy. And you are going to be independent step by step to know that right now I don't need my mom. I don't need my teacher. I can do this by myself. Many times my girls will call me, and Nadine, can you spell falling? Well, try to write it down. If you write it down and it's not good, I can correct it for you. But right now, you gotta try to put the effort, because I am not going to spell every single word for you while you write a letter for somebody. I'm not gonna be there all the time. So you need to know how to do this by
Yeah.
yourself. Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes, so basically setting those boundaries with other people. Is there a way that you maybe teach the kids how to manage their big emotions when they're feeling them to help keep calm on your side as well?
Yeah, so a lot of things we have, we here, we used to be alive. That's one of the I forgot the word. I'm sorry, I cannot find the word. Of the ways that we help kids, help them, teach them to regulate their own emotions. So let's say that a kid is having big emotion right now. And then I say, well, right now it's time for you to have time by yourself, sit down, because you cannot interact with everybody while your brain is not processing what's going on right now. You're not thinking straight. How about you have choices to go sit by yourself for a little bit? You can go outside and walk or run, whatever fits you in this moment, so you can get your brain in the right place that it needs to be for you to interact with other people right now, because you are not in a good position. Oh, how about you get your journal and journal about what is going on, what big emotion is going on right now? How about you get a fidget and sit in a corner and then try to regulate your emotion? So while you're outside, you can think of, why am I feeling this way? Is it because this person upset me? Is it because this triggers something about me? Is it because you feel like that person is annoying? Why am I feeling this way? And for you to do this, you need to be in a position where you are not yelling yourself. Because if you are yelling, there's no way you are contributing to help this kid regulate themselves in a better way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It
Okay.
does.
Yeah.
It does. And I can agree because I know, at least for me as a person, if someone's yelling at me, it actually makes me more anxious, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. If I didn't know what to do before, I really don't know what to do now, because like you're
Mhm.
yelling and I already can't process, and you're yelling and I can't process, so it kind of like
Mhm.
stalls me. But at the same time, I also know that when I'm agitated, I yell. So it's like it doesn't help me, but I'm also doing the thing that doesn't help, you know? So being able to have these different mechanisms to keep that calmness so that things can actually get done is really good, and I'm glad you shared those. I know that your time is so precious and so valuable, so I don't want to keep you here. We'll definitely have to have you on the show again another day. I just love everything you share. It was wonderful. I know that I've learned a lot, and like I said, I'm still pretty much very much growing and evolving when it comes to practicing calm, because I know truthfully and honestly, I could just get ramped up pretty easily. And so I have been working on intentionally recognizing what are those triggers so that I can manage my big emotions and
Yes.
so that I can
Yes.
help other people.
Yes. It start with us.
And
It start with us. Yes.
absolutely. Like, we have to be able to be an example. And for my listeners out there, unless you're new here, you know that we don't just listen, okay? We have to do the work. And growth comes when we listen and apply. So, with that said, your homework for this week, and I think it is super relevant to everything that we learned from Nadine today, but is think of a moment where chaos has showed up in your life. Maybe it was at home or work, maybe in your own mind. And how did you respond to that chaos in that moment? And how did that moment work out for you with the way that you responded? And if you were not grounded in that time, how would your situation have changed, or what would have looked like had you stayed grounded and calm? I know this is a lot, so you might have to rewind and listen again, but think about those things, as well as what tools that Nadine has shared with us today. Like, what can you do to try next time? So I definitely hope that you're walking away from this conversation as filled and as encouraged as I am. If there's anything that I took from today, I would say that being grounded is just not about perfection, but it's about intention. She talked about
Mhm.
being able to ask those questions, and as long as we're asking questions, then we can't fail. So it's
Yes.
about pausing and breathing and doing the next right thing, even if it's
Mhm.
in the middle of chaos. So, Nadine, thank you so much for being here and being such a living example of what I would call grace in motion. So,
Oh, thank you. That's
uh,
very sweet. That's very sweet because I know
uh,
in my mind, I feel like every day I am failing. You know, if somebody has the imposter syndrome as a mother, I am number one. But when I feel like that,
oh,
I read some of the my girls letters they sent to me, and I'm like, they feel like they think I'm a good person, so maybe I'm a good person. Oh, I thank you
I
for
think you are
inviting
an
me. I really
amazing
appreciate
person.
the time. I
No, you
really
are
feel a good
so
time.
welcome. I am so honored to be able to have you. So, if this episode spoke to you, please share it with someone who needs to cultivate a little bit of peace today. I know that there's plenty of teachers and moms. It's year end, summer's coming, everything's ramped up right now. So, I know there's someone who needs this message. I always ask that you all please leave a review, subscribe, and stay connected. This community is actually just getting started. Nadine is just one person that we have on here. I hope we can have you again, but I just plan on making sure that we have a community of like-minded women who all want to live and grow intentionally. So until next time, everybody, stay grounded, stay present, and give yourself permission to grow. We are
Yes,
out.
thank.
Thank you for joining me in the Educator Sanctuary, where we create a space for women educators to reclaim their power and prioritize themselves unapologetically. If you've loved what you've heard, please do not forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with other amazing women who need to hear this message. Until next time, remember, you are capable, you are powerful, and you are absolutely worthy. You've got this. Talk soon.